Raider Nation, make sure you subscribe because even though the 2020 season here for the Las Vegas Raiders is over, I promise you one thing. I am going to be keeping you guys updated the entire offseason. Daily videos, live shows, it doesn't end for us here. So if you're looking for the latest Raiders news and rumors in the offseason, I got you covered. If you want me to start doing mock drafts, Raiders draft analysis, I got you covered. Free agency, bottom line is this. There will not be another Raiders channel that keeps you more updated the entire offseason. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead and subscribe.
I'm so nation, no matter the location, from OAKLA to LV, I'm a Raider.
Raider Nation, what's going on? You are watching the Raiders Report here. Mitchell Renz from Chat Sports, and what are we going to talk about today? Overreaction Sunday edition after a heartbreaking 26-25 loss to the Miami Dolphins. The reason why I love this show, I can get hot takey, and I find the 5 biggest storylines, the 5 biggest things that I want to talk about and really take a deep dive. And the very first thing that I'm going to talk about on today's episode is going to be around Jon Gruden and whether or not the Raiders should honestly consider firing their head coach. So remember this. Jon Gruden was signed to a 10-year, $100 million contract, of which all of that money was fully guaranteed. So should the Raiders fire him, I'm going to give it one Chucky head, small shred of truth. And when I say one Chucky head, it's like a freckle of a speck of a Chucky head. I actually might have to reconsider what the Chucky rumor is if you get rid of Gruden. The reason why you can't fire Jon, you would owe him $70 million over the next 7 years. And the biggest issue for me is I go back and I look at paying all this money. If you're going to pay a coach $100 million for 10 years, I probably would not have done that, especially an old style of coach like Gruden. And when you look at his past 3 seasons, right now he's rocking an 18-29 record. I kind of consider this. Maybe you should have invested some of this money, maybe into a guy like Khalil Mack instead of paying Jon Gruden. Has he done a good job here and there? Yes, he has. However, if you were looking for an 18-29 record, probably could have paid somebody else a little bit of different money. That's all I'm saying. But this is an interesting quote, and I know I've brought it up here in the past on the Raiders Report. This is what Jon Gruden had to say in 2018 after accepting the head coaching job. If I can't get it done, I'm not going to take their money. I know Gruden is one of those guys who I think is a dude who really, truly believes if you say something, you should honor that, and you should man up. So knowing that quote, knowing whatever it was, if he doesn't get it done, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he has not gotten it done. Have the Raiders improved? Yes, they certainly have. Have the Raiders have only one winning season the past 20 years, worse in the NFL? Yes, they definitely have. But last week was a really, really tough game to swallow, man. It was rough. So, bottom line, I want to know what y'all have to say on this one. Would you fire Jon Gruden if it didn't cost anything? If he was like, all right, I'm going to quit, Raider Nation doesn't want me, let me know. F for fire or K for keep. I wouldn't fire Jon Gruden, not just because of the money, because honestly, when you look at a lot of the Raiders players, they do honestly truly respect Jon Gruden. You have seen a little bit of a transformation, and Rome wasn't built in one day. How many other NFL teams you see out there of players getting tattooed of their team? When you got guys like Josh Jacobs, Cleveland Ferrell, Max Crosby getting tatted up, like, that shit stays there forever. You know why? Because they like being Raiders. And even though it's a rough patch right now, there are some very talented young guys, and there's a really solid core group there. You just need to be able to have to bring in some other dudes. Do I think Jon Gruden is a good leader? Yes, absolutely. I 100% do. But I do think that Jon needs to swallow some pride here and bring in some help. But you know what? I'll get to that in just a sec. Today's sponsor, BetUS. If you want a jersey like this one I'm repping here, I'm going to hook up all new BetUS customers that get started. That game yesterday, man, it sucked. And I'm trying to inspire some fans to get excited. I want people to be able to watch the Raiders next week, and I also want you all to get some extra money in your pocket. How do you do that? Go to chatsports.com/Raiders. Promo code Raiders125 gets you 125% deposit bonus. Because I was so ticked off yesterday, I was like, you know what, man, let's try to make some Raider fans happy. So we made $1,200 in Super Chats yesterday in our live show. That's incredible. Over 120,000 people watched. So I'm going to take that money, and I'm going to invest it in some Raiders jerseys. And I'm going to take that money that y'all helped me raise, and I'm going to give it back to you. So if you want a free Raiders jersey from me, go ahead and get started with BetUS. If you're confused on how to get the free jersey, email me, Raiders@chatsports.com for the details. So again, if you want a new Raiders jersey for free, you got to get started with BetUS. And if you have any questions, email me, Raiders@chatsports.com. I appreciate everyone that watched that game yesterday. It sucked. So let's try to give back. Let's try to give back after a crazy 2020, even though it is almost over. Also, one more. This offer is valid only until 2020. So as soon as January 1st comes around, deal's off the table. I'm just letting you know right now. All right, let's get into the next topic here. Should the Raiders go out and hire a new OC? I know a lot of people talk about Jon Gruden. You rarely ever hear of Greg Olsen. But this one straight up is for Chucky heads. Believe it, baby. I'm not saying that the offense is the issue. However, Gruden's the one calling the shots, and he just simply can't call the plays anymore. If he's going to be the guy calling them, I don't want to see it. The Raiders were 0 for 10 on third down this past week. They're one of the worst teams in the NFL in goal-to-go situations. I believe right now, as I'm making this video, they're ranked 26 in the NFL once they get to the red zone. You can see the talents there. They have talent. Why you're drawing up certain plays, I don't 100% understand. Like, explain this to me. How is a guy like Jason Witten getting 4 targets? How does Darren Waller have like 5 targets? And then Henry Ruggs only 1 target. I'm not saying that Ruggs has been everything he's been cracked up to be, but you got to be a complete idiot to give Jason Witten 4 targets and Henry Ruggs only 1. So what I want the Raiders to do is keep Jon Gruden as the head coach. He's a great leader, and I really think he can rally the troops. But let's go out and let's get a young OC, somebody that's got a new, fun, creative type of mind that can draw up some of these plays that you see a lot of these other successful teams running. You see a lot of these successful college coaches running. That's what I want this offense to be able to do. That's the type of offense that I want this Raiders team to be able to run. It's not Derek Carr. It's not a lot of these other players. We just need to be able to draw up something because right now our offense is making me go to sleep, man, and I just can't watch it anymore. So here are some coaches to consider. These are my top 5 coaches right now in the NFL that I honestly think could be promoted into an OC position, which, yes, means you got to move on from Greg Olsen. The other reason why I want to move on from Greg Olsen, because obviously Jon Gruden doesn't respect him enough. It's simple as that. Mike Kafka, quarterback coach of the Chiefs, also learning under a guy like Eric Bieniemy, who was very, very respected, and Andy Reid. Shane Waldron, pass coordinator for the Rams. I like a lot of these guys in this Sean McVay type of style. Plus, Sean McVay does come from the Gruden tree. Keep that in mind. Luke Getsy, passing game coordinator. I'm going to go out on a limb here. If the Packers do potentially want to move on from Aaron Rodgers because they drafted, remember, quarterback in 26th overall this past year, whose name is escaping me right now. Jordan Love, thank you, producer Sam. Maybe it'd be an extra chip, but also I know Getsy, he knows what he's doing. Mike LaFleur, another very respected coach there. And Pep Hamilton. Pep Hamilton has done a phenomenal job with Justin Herbert. And I mean, I know the Chargers, they rip on Anthony Lynn. He's a dummy. Pep Hamilton is one of the best young minds there, and I think it'd be a great fit here for this Raiders team. So what do y'all think? Should the Raiders hire a new offensive coordinator? I want you to type Y for yes or type N for no. It's no disrespect to Greg Olsen, but obviously Jon Gruden is the one calling the plays. I don't want that to happen anymore. Let's let somebody come in and call the offensive plays. I'm going to type my Y for yes. All right, let's get into this one now. Mike Mayock deserves some blame. I know we rip on the defense a ton, and I know we rip on Jon Gruden a ton, but you know what, man? For Chucky heads, believe it, baby. Mike Mayock deserves some blame. Well, you know why? The reason why he was brought in as GM is to be able to evaluate talent in the draft. I'm not sure how much impact he might have had in 2019, which has been up and down this season, but let's look at the 2020 draft here. Just let's look at it. First pick, Henry Ruggs, 12 overall. You took him over guys like Justin Jefferson. Took him over a guy like CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy. I mean, it's so frustrating. Was I excited about Ruggs? Yes. But as soon as the Raiders picked him, I go, it could be a mistake. It really could. Now, I could be jumping the gun here a little bit because a guy like Cliff Branch took him 2 years to get going. But you look at his PFF grade, 54.1. PFF rank, he is the ranked 119th receiver out of 122. That's not good. And they're just simply not using him, not targeting him. Let's go to the other player that the Raiders drafted in the first round, shall we? Damon Arnett, who keeps on going on Twitter. And let me just say this. You should never at somebody on Twitter. That I will not tolerate. You should not go on somebody's Instagram account and say mean things about him and his son. That is never okay, and I hate when people do that. However, if you're a player and you're getting upset that people are coming after you, I think it's one of those opportunities where you need to stop pointing the finger at other people and look yourself in the mirror and you say, you know what? Am I giving my best effort? If that's your best effort, Damon Arnett, then, well, you were a total bust at 19. But his PFF grade, 43.5. PFF rank 115th out of 123 cornerbacks. That's terrible. Just terrible. So out of the top 2 picks, because so far they have not been good, and I've heard the word bust being thrown around. Am I calling them busts for their entire career? No, absolutely not. It is still too early. But were they busts for 2020? Yes. Yes, they were, and it's not even close. So let me know who's the bigger bust this season. Type DA for Damon Arnett, type HR for Henry Ruggs, and if you see any players that get upset about this video, I'm sorry that I care. I'm sorry that I want to see something better, but maybe if you guys would care a little bit more, I would like to see that. All right, y'all, how about this guy? Drafted in round 3, 80 overall. You already traded him for a linebacker, Raekwon McMillan, and a 2021 fourth. And honestly, he's got the highest PFF grade out of anyone. Is that because I think the Dolphins use him correctly? Yes, absolutely. But you didn't even see him play, and you already took a loss in terms of draft capital. So that's a bad one. How about this guy? Drafted in round 3, 81 overall, Bryan Edwards. I want to see more Bryan Edwards. I'm excited, and the Raiders were using him early on in the season, got hit with an injury, and you just haven't quite seen it. Am I saying he should get more targets than a guy like Darren Waller, Nelson Agholor, Henry Ruggs, Hunter Renfrow? No. But if Jason Witten's getting 4 targets a game, somebody please explain to me. Anyone? No? Anyone? Why we can't get Bryan Edwards 4 targets then? I would rather Bryan Edwards see 100 targets a game instead of Jason Witten seeing 1. Jason, I'm sorry, but it's the truth. Look at his PFF grade, 65.4, which is actually the highest one. This guy the Raiders drafted round 3, number 100 overall. He was a safety at Clemson. They tried to convert him to a linebacker. Tanner Muse has been on the IR, so I'm not really going to rip him too much here. But all the reports coming out of training camp were not very good. And from what I've seen this year, the Raiders have not been able to evaluate safety talent whatsoever. All right, we'll be quicker on these last 2 guys. John Simpson, 4th-round pick out of Clemson, had to step up for Denzel Good this past week. He has not looked good whatsoever. His PFF grade, 39.6. And then the last guy, Meek Robertson, 42.2. I still think that Amik's going to be one of these players that is going to be a solid guy. I'm not going to call him a bust yet, and I understand there's this draft grade. Also, there's no such thing as a bust, I would say, after round 4. Amik's a talented player. He just needs a little bit more playing time, but you need your coaches to be able to put those guys in certain situations, and yes, that falls on your GM. So how about this, y'all? Grade the Raiders 2020 draft from a scale of 0 to 100. Y'all have been to school before, I would hope, so let me know. 0 to 100. Go down in the comments section. YouTube, Facebook. If you want to take a screenshot and post this, please make sure you tag me, though, at MitchellRenz365. Next topic. Should the Raiders go out and re-sign Nelson Agholor? Yes. 4 flippin' jockey heads, believe it, baby. They should have did this 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and I honestly hope they don't let him hit the free agent market because he has not only been the deep field threat that the Raiders were hoping when they drafted Henry Ruggs, he's been Derek Carr's top wide receiver target this season, and it really hasn't been close. Has he had a few bad drops? Sure. Has he had a few unlucky plays? Yes, absolutely. But honestly, when you go back and you watch every single game that Nelson Agholor has played in this season, he could honestly have 10, 11 touchdowns. 1 dropped, 2 were called back on penalties, not on him. But if you were to tell me I can get a guy for 1 year, $1.05 million, and he's going to give me 839 yards and 8 touchdowns, that's an absolute steal. He has been the best signing. He's been the best signed offensive players that the Raiders have had, I'll say, since Jon Gruden has taken over. Yeah, and I'm not kidding when I say that. So should the Raiders re-sign Agholor, type R for re-sign, P for pass. If you are on the train of I am re-sign, remember, he's only 27 years old, so I think that's important. Now, you might be taking a little bit of a loss on a guy like Ruggs. You might be taking a loss on a guy like Bryan Edwards, and no offense to those 2 guys, but this season has proven me one thing and one thing for sure. You should have invested in the defense and not try to invest 3 of your top 4 picks on offensive players, and now one of them still not even on the freaking team anymore. So before this video ends, I do have one more Overreaction Sunday that I want to get to, but as a reminder, again, today, going on, we got an awesome deal, and this deal will end, I guess, New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. I can't figure out which. It's just not going to. Once 2020 ends, this deal's going to end. If you want a free Raiders jersey, email me. Raiders at chatsports.com for the details, and this is for new BetUS customers only. So imagine a world where you could deposit $100, you get $125 for free to bet with, and then on top of that, you get a free Nike Raiders jersey. The Nike Raiders jersey has nothing to do with BetUS. This has everything to do with me just trying to give back to y'all after just a very lackluster 2020 season. The last thing we're going to talk about here, should the Raiders go out and start Marcus Mariota in Week 17? Before I give you my answer, let me know in the comments section. Type MM for Marcus Mariota, or I want you to type DC. This is definitely one of those conversations that we talked about of late. I mean, this was the main topic all last week. Derek Carr ended up starting in Week 16. So who should start against the Broncos? MM for Mariota or DC for Derek Carr? The Raiders should start Marcus Mariota versus the Broncos. And did I think Carr had an exceptional game? Exceptional might be a little bit of a stretch. I'd probably give him a B+. But this was obvious to me. Derek Carr was not healthy in Week 16, and he's your future. I know a lot of people want to have Marcus Mariota there. It's not him. I'm just telling you that right now. Derek Carr is a better quarterback than Marcus Mariota. And if he is your future, and he's going to be making $22 million and then $19 million in the next 2 seasons, which is great for a quarterback, let's keep him healthy because this game doesn't mean anything whatsoever. So you got to see what Mariota's got. Either he plays well and he raises his trade value, and then you can ship him away, or you can kind of look yourself in the mirror like, okay, maybe he's actually worth $10 million. If he sucks, if he stinks, then you cut him and you save the money. You need to see what you got, though. And I will also say this, man, I hate it, and I hate when players do this. After a tough loss, they're in the middle of the field taking pictures, smiling. Mariota did that. I didn't like it. I know Carr does it too, but, man, I just can't stand that stuff. And my final note here is this. I know yesterday's game was terrible, and I know it really, really hurt. But you know what, man? I promise you one thing. We are going to keep you updated the entire offseason. And if you bleed silver and black, if you want your voice to be heard, we're going to be the channel that ends up doing that. So please make sure you subscribe, spread the word. It helps us out a ton. And I promise, daily videos the entire offseason. That one's for Chucky heads. Believe it, baby.